welcome to my official Kingdom Hearts spell tier list. Usually I wasn't planning on making a tier list video. Usually when I make tier lists, I just post it on Twitter or share with my friends because they're just fun things to do. But I've been playing a lot of Kingdom Hearts 3 specifically lately, and just because of a certain spell, I felt inclined to make this video because I've had my time where I experimented with Kingdom Hearts 1 spells, and then I had my time where I spent it with Kingdom Hearts 2 spells, and now, even though I got 3 date released, I really didn't start experimenting with spells until like late. Like, I've already done the data battles and everything, but I don't know, I felt inclined to play 3 again and do the data battles again and just kind of like study up on the meta and kind of like just experiment with spells for 3 because I realized I didn't do that, and because of a certain spell I felt inclined to make this video. So without further ado, hope this entertains non-Kingdom Hearts fans, and for Kingdom Hearts fans, don't get mad at me because I have different reasons why I'm putting these spells in the tier list, whether it's from functionality, whether it's from looking cool, whether it's from how I use it, or just fun in general. I'll basically explain my reasoning. It's not a tier list based off meta, or else it would be completely different. It's more of a tier list based off of like my different reasonings for liking the spell, if that makes sense. We're gonna go in order for games. I was hoping to find a better one. I get what they were going for, but I don't like the sloppy red 1, 2, 3. I was tempted to make my own, but I'm lazy, so I'm just gonna use this one. And if no one gets it, I'll explain what this thing is. So we're going to start with Kingdom Hearts 1, and the first one to see is Arrow. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in S tier. I will definitely actually order these in the individual tiers. Arrow in Kingdom Hearts 1 is S tier. It is literally the most useful spell. It is worth to go and get the puppies to get Aroga, because once you get Aroga, not only do you take less damage, but when you're on the enemy, it does more damage and it like deflects shit. So that's actually how you get the extra hits in with one of the mushrooms when you're trying to get like a synthesis item grinding for the ultimate Keyblade. And I always thought Arrow was like cool, and I wish they would bring it back. They brought it back in Kingdom Hearts 3, and at first I was upset because it was more of the offensive, like Birth by Sleep, instead of defensive. However, they still made it useful in Kingdom Hearts 3 though, so Arrow is still good. If you ask me what form of Arrow I prefer Kingdom Hearts 1, and I wish they would bring it back, which we'll get to that later with like Reflect and stuff, but I'll explain that in a bit. I thought Arrow was like one of the coolest spells, and honestly it should have stayed in the game. Kingdom Hearts 1 Blizzard. I was never really fond of the Blizzard spell. However, I'm going to put this in C tier because Kingdom Hearts 1 Blizzard specifically is, in my opinion, a lot better than like Fire in Kingdom Hearts 1. But it's still not that great as far as the spell goes. It kind of has this spread to it, and it could do a lot of damage. You can actually cheese the fight when you're fighting the 3 little assholes in Halloween Town. You can actually cheese the fight by continuously jumping and spamming Blizzard. It can actually do a lot of damage. It has a big hitbox, but like I don't really use it just because other spells are just way better. So it's kind of the middle of the road, so I put it in C tier. I honestly, when I looked at this, I was honestly confused about why this was the case. But then I realized that the MP system is different, which, yes, both cures are just as useful, but they kind of work differently. But here's the thing, I'm probably going to put them in the same tier anyway, just because they both have their advantages and disadvantages. I like, of course, Cure is going to go in S tier. It's one of the most useful spells consistently in the series. I don't think you cannot make Cure good, honestly. It's literally a heal. I liked how Kingdom Hearts 1 handled it with where you had like these bars, and I think if I'm correct here, you used one full bar. You could get hits to get your MP back, or you could use like potions. I bet they separated this because Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 has a rechargeable MP system. But honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and just put this in the same tier because honestly, it doesn't really make a difference. Because you either A, have to wait for it to recharge, which can be faster or slower. The reason why I say that is because like Kingdom Hearts 1, you have like these blocks of bars, so you can like use like a whole bunch of cures in one go before you have to like refill on your MP. And then Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3, you technically get it faster on recharge because it's a rechargeable MP, so you never really run out. Like if you use cure, it uses up the whole meter. Just wait for it to recharge. But both of them can like easily come back through potions, and both of them are very situational on like which one is faster and more useful. I would say Kingdom Hearts 1 can be slightly useful if you have an MP based build, just because you have more cures accessible, but you're also using other spells. You're probably also using Arrow, which takes up 2 slots. But like they're both pretty much the same as far as usefulness goes. Continuing with Kingdom Hearts 1, Fire's shit. But I'm not gonna put an F tier because it has been useful for some things. It does jack shit for damage, but it's good for grinding on the monkey, the special monkey thing to get like one of the special synthesis items. And it's also really fast, so if you just need a fast like magic projectile to hit an enemy or a boss, it can be useful. Honestly, Fire sucked. It kind of sucks, but the reason why I don't put it in F tier is because it does have its uses. I have used it for like grinding materials, and I have used it to get me out of like just as a quick like use it for quickly to get away. And it doesn't really use that much MP, so I can conserve MP with it, so it's fine. The only reason it's not going in F tier. Gravity is my favorite spell in the entire franchise, so it's going in S tier, and it's going up here. Also, the reason why I put Cure after Arrow too is because I just think Arrow's a cool spell, like Kingdom Hearts 1. Anyway, Gravity is broken as hell. It's very underrated. Not only can you use it to for Hollow Bastion, where you pull down like platforms and stuff, pull down enemies to the air, because the way Sora swings in Kingdom Hearts 1 is just dog shit. I'm just gonna say, like, I grew up with the game, and I remember having time in life, and then like when I got older and played it, I'm just like, yeah, this controls not very well. It's still fun as hell, and I still love playing Kingdom Hearts 1, but god damn it, it's so easy for Sora to whiff even when you're not trying, and especially when like the enemies are constantly moving and the camera's constantly moving and the camera's really shitting in one. But like, it makes it so useful because aerial enemies can be annoying. You can be constantly lifting, and you just use Gravity to pull them down. But if that was the only reason, this would just be C tier, honestly. The reason why I say Gravity is good is because it's broken as hell, and people do not realize it's broken as hell until I show them. First of all, on Maleficent fight, you can literally, like, if you have like your party members just give you MP and then have them stack with like EXP, like ether potions, and have you stack ether potions, you can literally on the Maleficent dragon fight spam stop and Gravity and kill her. Second of all, Gravity just does a lot of damage to enemies and bosses in general, and is effective to most bosses. Not all of them. There's some bosses that are immune to Gravity, but to most bosses, they will do damage. Third of all, I have proven how broken Gravity is by literally going to the final Ansem fight and literally spamming nothing but Gravity the entire time and beating him in no time flat. I think I actually have a video up to where I'm literally spamming nothing but Gravity, and then I have like a little joke of when the cutscene where he's just like, Kingdom Hearts is light, but like instead he's just having flashbacks of me spamming Gravity, and he's just so pissed. I think I still have the video on my channel if you want to see that. I beat the entire Ansem final boss with just Gravity, and it's so fucking broken, and I love this spell to death. I just think it's hilarious. Moving on, Stop, I'm gonna put Also, in C tier, it's kind of like same with Blizzard Kingdom Hearts 1, situationally good. There's actually a lot more bosses that actually that Stop actually works on than I realized. I used to think Stop was useless. It's like, it's not gonna work on bosses, but then I realized you could use it on fucking Maleficent, so why can't you use it on other bosses? And I realized not all bosses can be stopped, but there's also a lot more bosses that could be stopped than you think, and you could totally cheese bosses with it. Also, helps with like synthesis items, which it would have been lower on the tier list. Like, it probably would have been D tier if it was just a synthesis item thing, but it turns out that there's actually quite a bit of main villain bosses that actually stop Stopka when you use it. So that was fun to figure out and to cheese. Thunder. I've never really been fond of the Thunder spell, honestly. Just uses. I get that like everyone likes it because it's an AoE effect thing and it does pretty good damage consistently. But like it uses way too much MP in every single game, and that's my issue with it. Yeah, it's an AoE thing, but I can also like get creative with other spells and like make it almost as effective and use less MP. By the way, when it comes to Kingdom Hearts 3 spells, we're talking about Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind when they nerfed the we're talking about the nerfed spells for KH3 and not the pre-patch spells when all of them were broken. Anyway, just clarifying that. Thunder KH3, kind of just don't use it. Like, everyone uses it, but like if I need to use something, I'll use Blizzard for AoE because it uses less MP, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, it does. Or I just use gravity because it tends to hit multiple people even if I'm not trying. But like I would say Thunder is way more useful than Fire though, so I'm gonna put it in C tier. And I like Stop better just because it's funny how many bosses can be stopped by it. So I'm gonna put it behind Stop. I don't feel right putting it in D tier even if it's in front of Fire, just because it is more useful than Fire, but not really fond of the Thunder spell. Moving on to Kingdom Hearts 2. Blizzard Kingdom Hearts 2 is the most useless piece of dog shit I've ever played. Now, like, of course, like, hardcore Kingdom Hearts players, like, I'm getting there to that level, but like, I've been playing this game since I was little, and I'm pretty sure I have over like 2,000 hours in like the games, if it could keep track of like time on my PS2. And that's adding up with like the PS3 remake that I got, and then I also got the PS4 remake. But like, I'm pretty sure if someone's just like, oh, Kingdom Hearts 2 Blizzard is actually useful because it has this function. Well, I've never discovered that. And it does no damage. It's not very great. It kind of sucks. It's kind of like a ping missile. Like if I want to do that, I'll just go to Wisdom form and I'll use literally any other spell. And plus, like, on top of that, a lot of other Kingdom Hearts 2 spells are obsolete. And there's really no reason to use Blizzard. Unless you're fighting a fire type enemy. Kingdom Hearts 2 Blizzard kind of sucks ass. It's not good. Kingdom Hearts 2 Fire, on the other hand, I remember when I was a kid, I was just like, Fire sucks, why is it a ring around instead of you shooting it? But when I got older, I figured out that Kingdom Hearts 2 Fire is fucking S tier. I actually like it a lot better than these spells. I figured out that you can beat Zenith's form where he's sitting in the chair with just like Final Form Fire or Wisdom Form Fire in literally like 30 seconds, which that's including the cutscene, so probably more like 10 to 15 seconds. But yeah, Fire is broken. In Kingdom Hearts 2, you can angle it at a certain angle to literally stun lock people. People have literally beaten the Lingering Will in 35 seconds because of the spell Fire. Also, with like water enemies and ice enemies in particular, Fire just melts it. And even without it being elemental, Fire is just super powerful. It can put you into a hit stun, so you just keep doing it and they can't break out of it. And it's amazing. Kingdom Hearts 2 Fire is so fucking broken. We're gonna go with Magnet. I'm gonna go ahead and put Magnet in B tier. Uh, the reason why is because as far as enemies go, it's really good for grinding and it's really good for enemies because you gather them up and then you just use Thunder. However, the reason why I put it in B tier is because as far as bosses go, it really doesn't get much of a use. The only time I've ever used Magnet in a boss is Xaldin's fight. And the reason why I use it in Xaldin's fight is because during one of his, like, I would call it a desperation move, but it's not really. During one of his attacks that, like, happens when you, like, are, like, kind of low on health. Or maybe he only did it for me when I'm low on health, so I got unlucky. I got, like, lucky. There's a move where he, like, summons wind and swings at you, and you cannot hit him, and you cannot block it. You kind of have to dodge it. However, I kept dying to that move, but then I figured out when experimenting that you can actually interrupt that move and cancel it out altogether by spamming Magnet. And, like, you'll do it, and then he'll try to do it again because he does it multiple times, and you just do Magnet, and it just cuts him out of that combo. So it is useful for Xaldin, and that is it. That is all I discovered that it has use for as far as bosses go. Other than that, it's just like kind of like an enemy thing. Reflect is A tier, not A tier, S tier. It literally reflects anything, and it has a godlike counter. And fun fact though, in original Kingdom Hearts, it was fucking terrible. It blocked shit, but it literally had the weakest hitbox. It had the weakest counter effect ever. It did jack shit for damage, and it didn't knock back enemies at all. They fixed it in Final Mix though, so it's broken as hell. You can literally take out several bars with like the kind of like the counter of kind of like the quote-unquote reflect of the reflect. But it literally blocks any damage. The reason why I'm putting it under Arrow is just because I like Arrow better as a concept. Reflect is cool and much needed, but I also don't like that you're just invincible. I like Arrow better because it's more like a shield. You still take damage, but you take less damage, and it also reflects when you get the full like thing, and it also does like extra hit damage when you're close in. So it's more like a defense up thing rather than just being invincible. So I actually like Arrow because of the concept a lot more. But Reflect is a baller ass fucking spell. Kingdom Hearts 2 Thunder. I will put this in B tier, just because I like Kingdom Hearts 2 Thunder better than all these spells in C tier. But I don't think it should go any higher. I think I'm gonna put it before Magnet just because it has more uses. Thunder, especially with the different forms, can be very useful in the bosses and actually do a lot of damage, and the AoE effect is actually worth it. And it can like take out a lot of enemies. Again, with like the MP thing, it just takes a lot more MP than others, but like if I'm not using fire on the bosses, I'm using Thunder. So I think my favorite variation of Thunder is actually Kingdom Hearts 2. Especially if you go into Master Mode and you're just dancing around while shooting Thunder. It's amazing. Now onto Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm going to go ahead and go backwards because this is the spell that spiked the entire point of the video. It is my favorite spell in the series. Water. Water is a cool spell. Like, there's never been a water element in Kingdom Hearts. And in Final Fantasy, from what I remember, the first time water was ever introduced was from Final Fantasy VIII, because I don't remember it being in any other Final Fantasy game. I could be wrong, but I'm probably not, just because I'm so ingrained with Final Fantasy since my childhood. And unless Final Fantasy VII had water spell, which I don't think it did, Final Fantasy was the first one to do it. And I'm glad they brought in the Kingdom Hearts finally, and they made it amazing. Like, I didn't think water was good until you start doing the data battles, and then when you start experimenting with data battles, you figure out that water has invincibility frames when charging it up, and you can actually use it not only for invincibility frames, but you can actually use it to make openings and actually like use the invincibility frames. That way you use it while someone's attacking you, and then it hits them and it knocks them out of their combo, and then you have an opening to just do a combo on like difficult bosses. It's literally amazing, and you can like use it while moving, so you're not just stuck in one place, and it protects you. I think literally if water didn't have invincibility frames, it wouldn't be as useful as it honestly wouldn't be as useful as it would be. And honestly, water is the meta spell for Kingdom Hearts 3. And it's what you use for like secret bosses and stuff. Like there's this one move that people were struggling with. Like they learned you can like go where it like kind of like sucks your MP and HP and like items and stuff. But like people were like, oh, they figured, oh, just air dash to it. You'll just lose like a little bit of stuff. But you can actually, there's a trick to it to where you don't have to lose anything. To where like I think you use water and air dash to it, or you like air dash to it, use water and then attack. I don't remember specifically. I'll have to look into that again before I refight Yozora again, because I'm still working on the data fights and still refighting some of the same data fights too. But like water has is probably one of the most useful things in these data fights. Like honestly, it's such an amazing. It is such an amazing, amazing spell. Arrow, not as cool. But I'm gonna put it in A tier, just because it has the flow motion ability. It's attached with Kingdom Hearts 3 flow motion. On top of that, you can even use it without flow motion, and it's actually very, very good for like if you have form saved up on each Keyblade. It's very good for like going into a form and attacking with the form, then using it to like go up, like get a collective enemies, go up with the enemies, switch, and then just combo off of that. Arrow is, I found, very useful to combo off of when it comes to enemies, and it can actually be very useful as a combo extender for bosses. However, I don't use it for the data fights specifically. I usually use it for like story bosses. Data fights, I don't really use it because water works way better. Water, fire are like my go-tos. With the situational thunder stagger, like how like I can knock Xion out of a move or interrupt a move with like thunder, or with Saïx I can like interrupt his berserk thing with blizzard, those situational things. But I used arrow as a combo cinder with fire, with air step fire, because you can shoot fire and then air step so fire hits him at the same time, staggers him, and you hit him at the same time so you don't let him go and breathe, and you can continue a combo. You can do that, and then in the middle of the combo use arrow to extend the combo to do more damage than what you would usually do and get some extra hits in. But like other than that, it's once I found out the use of water, I really don't use it anymore. Blizzard, I think I'm gonna put this in B tier. I'm actually gonna put it above Thunder. It's more useful than Kingdom Hearts 1 Blizzard, so I want to put it in the tier above. And it's definitely more useful than Magnet and Thunder and Kingdom Hearts 2 in my opinion. And if you have flow motion, the tracks can be useful, but they can also be painful. I think it's better without the flow motion, like without using it to slide across basically. I actually used Blizzard on my first playthrough to stagger a lot of enemies as combo extenders until I figured out there was better spells. But I think just spells in Kingdom Hearts 3 are really good overall. I'm gonna actually do Thunder next. Thunder is just all around good, but like I don't think Kingdom Hearts 3 Thunder, in my opinion, is as good as Kingdom Hearts 2, just because Kingdom Hearts 2 has the movement to go with it. Kingdom Hearts 3 kind of does what Kingdom Hearts 1 does, it kind of stays still. So I'm gonna put this probably after Blizzard, just because I just think Blizzard is more fun to use in KH1 than it is to use than Thunder is in KH3. It is very powerful. It is more powerful than Blizzard, and the AoE effect is insane. But like again, I could just use Arrow. Now I actually don't know. I'm not very confident whether Arrow uses more or has the same amount of or less of MP. Kind of like shit, but I like using Arrow way better anyway. I never really used Thunder. Thunder is probably my least used spell in the game. Again, not really fond of Thunder, but at least it's always consistently useful. Fire used to be broken. But with the nerf, it's not as broken, but it's very good for like shooting a fireball ahead to hit an enemy from far away to stagger them, and then air stepping. That way, you air step attack at the same time the fireball hits, and you can get pretty good combos in that. And fireball is still useful as a damage outputter anyway, even though it got nerfed to hell. And it's very good to tie in with your combos. So I'm gonna put Kingdom Hearts 3 Fire on A tier. But below Arrow. I don't think Fire will ever be as good as in KH2. I will say though, just to argue my point even further, different forms can output spells differently, and when you use stuff like the freaking Pirate's Keyblade and like the Frozen Keyblade, it basically, your spells basically turn into like Fire from Kingdom Hearts 2 where it's a circle, and you can actually stagger a lot of people, and basically your fire turns into Kingdom Hearts 2 fire. Like, someone literally broke the world record on defeating Yozora within, I think, 2 minutes by getting the transformation for the Frozen Keyblade and literally stun locking him with, because it now that is transformed, the fire rotates around, so it's like it turns from Kingdom Hearts 1 fire to Kingdom Hearts 2 fire. And it was literally melting his HP and staggering him, and he couldn't get out of it. So it still can do that, but the difference is Kingdom Hearts 2 can do that at any time. Kingdom Hearts 3 is very situational, and you have to have the right form for you to do that. Other than that, that's kind of like my spell tier list. There's kind of like reasons behind it. Let me know what your opinions are on it. People might have different reasons to it, like, oh, I like the spell because it's cool. I like the spell because it does damage. I like the spell because of the meta. Like, there's so many different reasons to like Kingdom Hearts spells. I just think they're all cool, besides these two shitholes. And Kingdom Hearts 1 Thunder, I just think it's kind of lame, but it has more uses than this. Other than that, that's probably the end of my video. I probably like rambled on unnecessarily for too long. So I thank y'all for watching. I don't know if I'm going to do this again in the future. This is kind of a thing I just wanted to do just because I just had the sudden inspiration to do it. So I guess I'll see y'all in the next video.